many of them related to their intellectual property protections and their forced tech transfer. So that is a set of commitments that we've been tracking, and you look at whether or not they had passed the laws and regulations that they promised to. In large part, they have, but then you also have to assess for all the companies that are on the ground in China, are they seeing an improved environment in China? And well, that's going to be up to the experiences of our companies and what they share with us. It's going to be a little harder to measure than, for example, the purchase commitments that the Chinese made. And those everybody is following. We get lots of questions about it because the trade data are public. You can look at the numbers in terms of their commitments on paper, and you can see where there are gaps.
Do you think that the
question would be whether or not those tariffs have changed firm behavior. And again, I think that in a way,
Shout out to Maria Silda.
Explain that a little bit. Firm behavior, American firms or?
Sure, American firms, yes. For anybody who is trying to source from China and
Maraming
bring that product
salamat.
into the U.S. has got to contend with this set of tariffs that was built up starting in 2018.
Yep.
What stakeholders have told me is that increasingly
Kaya ako sa
are
ilog.
engaging in what in the industry is called a
Yung
China
ilog,
Plus One strategy.
Dami na
Where,
nagbabike.
if you're going
Wala
to
nang
be
snow.
making things in China and you're going to be selling to the Chinese market, you continue to do that in China. But if you are making things in China and you are going to try to sell that either back to the U.S. or to other places, firms have seen this situation and have been incentivized to find other bases of operation and manufacturing where they feel that there might be more confidence in terms of the trading relationship to getting that product out of China and into the U.S.
Product.
Firms tell you that business people that I speak with express incredible frustration with having to actually go through that after having built up their supply chains over decades now. And they also wonder why it is that the Biden administration has not decided to get rid of the Trump-era tariffs and save that those import taxes on $300 billion worth of Chinese goods.
So I think that frustration comes from a couple different places. One is the sense of inconvenience. One may be a sense that, in a way, maybe we all wish that we could go back to the way the world was in 2015. That was a version of globalization 1.0 where we were not worried about putting in an order for, I don't know, a piece of furniture or having to wait 6 months for it to arrive. Right?
Miguel, shout out Maria
What I say to all of
Silda.
our firms
That's the channel.
who
Miguel,
understand
shout out Sisi Akanta Kalipos.
are sentimental.
Miguel, shout out
The reason why we are where we are today
Jamis
is that
Miss
this
Wanderer.
is not built for resilience. And so, I think that the issue that we're dealing with
Miguel, shout out Lady Shara.
globalization 1.0 to globalization 2.0. And I think that, it's a really interesting conversation.
Miguel, shout out Rotis Adventure. Miguel, shout out Sir Tiger Lake TV.
That would be the idea.
Dami.
Our government
Miguel, shout out BB Boss Samar. Miguel, shout out Sisi Tunet Dalwatan. Ang ganda ng river.
What does resilience mean? Resilience means more choices, more options, less vulnerability, and ultimately being better prepared because you don't know where that next crisis is going to come. You don't know.
Miguel, shout out Sisi Lin Show. USA. Sino bang nasa mga chismis? Miguel, shout out Lunti ang isip. Miguel, shout out.
We all remember that break.
I don't know.
Well, yeah. Hurt though. Dow Industrial's up 67 points, about 0.2%, 33,001.
Mega Love shout out
The
James
Nasdaq up
Berman.
27 points, again 0.2%. Closed at 12,563. The S&P 500 climbed 20 points, about 0.5%, 41 and 75. Pfizer picked up 1.9% today on better than expected first quarter profit and revenue. Biogen dipped 0.75%. That's drug maker's first quarter profit and revenue missed analyst expectations. Expectations are every check, almost more than 30% after cutting its full-year revenue outlook. It said current economic challenges are prompting consumers to prioritize quote, earning
Mega Love
over
shout out
learning
Cola.
should be good.
Wow.
Education company. Bond prices were up. Yield on the 10-year Treasury note down 1 point, rather 2, not 1, 2.98%. You're listening to Marketplace.
Marketplace is supported by Viking. Viking's small ships bring travelers closer to the destination, allowing for more time to explore, offering cultural enrichment and immersive experiences on board and on shore. Viking.com. And by ReliaQuest, the force multiplier for cybersecurity teams, protecting the world's largest company from ransomware to sophisticated cyber attacks. ReliaQuest combines open XDR technology with security expertise to make security possible. ReliaQuest.com. And by Treasure Data. Businesses can transform millions of data points into informed decisions with Treasure Data's
As a young American soldier fought in World War II, a sentimental bracelet was stolen from him. Last year, he got it back, thanks to the help of a Czech man who doggedly searched for its owner. Now, they've met face to face.
I just can't believe it. Can't believe it at all.
Really? The story of strangers and the bracelet that brought them together. This afternoon on All Things Considered, beginning at 4 here on CPR News.
Support comes from the Colorado Health Foundation, committed to strengthening bodies, minds, and communities across Colorado to achieve health equity for Coloradans. Learn more at coloradohealth.org.
This is Marketplace. I'm Ty Rizal. We were talking about the Fed meeting this week. Well, yes, Sabri was earlier in the program, and the 0.5 percentage point increase that is all but certain to come out of it, which is big and important, but kind of only half the story. Here's Chair Powell at his last press conference back in March.
There's also the shrinkage of the balance sheet, which people do the math different ways, but that might be the equivalent of another rate increase.
Balance sheet. Powell said it 14 times that day. This one, you're about to hear being the most important.
We expect to begin reducing the size of our balance sheet in a coming meeting.
That coming meeting, of course, is
Whoa.
so a brief
Unexpected
but
stuff.
necessary, we believe, balance sheet explained.
My name is Kathy Zhang. I'm an associate professor at...
Mega Love shout out Sir Ronel. Maraming salamat.
Start with the papers.
The Fed's balance sheet is going to be a financial statement that's, in fact, updated weekly, and it shows what the U.S. Central Bank owns and owes.
As of most recent update last week, the Fed's balance sheet sits at just shy of $9 trillion. There are assets,
Treasuries, securities,
government bonds,
Pauwi na ako galing sa work.
also
U.S. paper currency, as well as money that the different commercial banks hold in accounts at the Fed.
paper currency, by the way, Federal Reserve notes. It says so right on them. That's the Fed liability is a whole other explainer probably. But anyway, the Fed balance sheet has more than doubled since the start of the pandemic. And a little bit of history might help.
We all remember the Great Recession around 2008.
We do indeed, most of us anyway. Ben Bernanke was the chair of the Fed, and the Federal Reserve cut the federal funds rate, the short-term rate it controls, from 5.25% in September 2007 to a range of 0 to 0.25%, basically nothing, by the end of 2008.
But there's only so much you can cut interest rates by. So once you hit 0, you're at a lower bound. And so that wasn't enough to stimulate the economy. And so what the Fed did was they turned to more unconventional tools.
Enter stage right, the Fed's balance sheet, which for the first time, it really started using.
It started buying a lot of long-term treasuries and federal agency debts and also mortgage-backed securities. And the idea of this was to increase the Fed's balance sheet in order to increase the availability of credit.
Quantitative easing is the phrase you have surely heard described that. But the important thing here is that credit is the lifeblood of this economy. It means businesses can take out loans and grow and hire and keep workers. It means you can get a mortgage.
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it.
The Fed's balance sheet, $4.5 trillion.
I'm not going.
Less than $1 trillion before the Great Recession. But by 2017, almost a full decade after the start of the financial crisis, the Federal Reserve decided the economy didn't really need so much of that extra help anymore, and it started reducing the size of its balance sheet. Not buying new treasuries and securities, just running off what it had. Tapering, it was called. But that got complicated in a hurry. Markets had a little taper tantrum. Maybe you've heard that. And the Fed backed off of its plans, which gets us to today, and the Fed shrinking its balance sheet again. What do you think?
With even the levels of the current balance sheet, I mean, these are going to be big market moves.
Which is Powell says tomorrow, more attention than usual, really, about dates and the amount of tapering, round two, of course, that the Fed is going to be doing.
I'm a little worried about the effects on financial markets, whether this is going to be just like a temporary shock or a more long-lasting one. That'll depend a lot on what their announced schedule is.
Kathy Zhang at Purdue, taper tantrum and interest rates and all that jazz tomorrow on this program. Back we go to the Milken Institute Global Conference, where yesterday, in between the hobnobbing and the schmoozing, that was other people, not me, I spent a half an hour on stage with Ambassador Catherine Todd, the U.S. Trade Representative, talking in this section about the domestic side of global trade. I can't see the screens, but when we were walking in, I noticed your Twitter handle was up there, and mine was up there as well, and you were, I'm going to assume your staff, tweeted out this morning and said, can't wait to join Congress all this. Bill Gates talk about Harris's administration. Worker-focused trade policy. You have to convince the American public that trade is a good thing. Go.
Okay. Well, all right. Let's start with this. I think that a lot of the American public either isn't thinking about trade, or if they think about it, have a sense that people in this job are not thinking about them, and frankly haven't thought about them in decades and haven't designed Globalization 1.0 for them.
You want to know why? And we talked about this again last time you were on.
I know.
Right? Because we could go out on Wilshire Boulevard and stop 10 people.
Yeah.
And if we said global trade, they would say, oh, God, tariffs. I hate trade.
Kai, I think that we really need to go out and
We
test
should
that out.
do it, actually.
We really need to test it because I take your point.
Jimmy Kimmel thing.
I take your point that I question your numbers.
It would be 9.5 out of 10.
Well, and I don't know how to define half a person, but let's take your point that people are associating trade with tariffs right now. Well, there are a ton of people out there who associate trade with offshoring and outsourcing and the loss of jobs and the